All right, hello everybody. Today's lecture should be fairly straightforward. I'm hoping it is. You don't have to do any crazy analyzing of huge stacks of chords. All you have to do is worry about seeing the order of the notes in what we call tone rows, all right? So you guys are going to learn how to make a matrix, which is what they use to create serialist pieces. And then you're going to learn how to take that matrix and analyze a piece using it. So let's get started. 12-tone technique can also be known as serialism. It was invented and developed by a German composer named Arnold Schoenberg around 1920. And it was adopted by Schoenberg, Alban, and Weber mostly. This group of composers called themselves the Second Viennese School, so you may hear reference to that. So some vocabulary that you need to know in order to do this is 12-tone technique. So basically, you're going to break each note in the chromatic scale down to 12 notes, 12 tones. So the first vocabulary word is order. So order is the set of all 12 tones contained within the octave in a particular order, or tone row. So this forms the basis for the whole method. So this initial row forms that base. Except for immediate repetitions, there's no return to a particular tone until all the succeeding tones in the row have been sounded. So there's going to be a particular order of notes. So it could start with F and then go to G sharp, A, C, D, and you're going to go through all 12 tones on the piano. And then once you get all the way through all 12 tones, then you can go back and repeat F. So you can't or any of the other notes. Unless there's like an immediate, goes F, F right away, an immediate repetition, you can't go back and repeat any of these things until you've gotten through all 12. Then you can start over again or start a different row or combination, and we'll get into that. Now, one of the rules that you have to remember is that the tones of the series can appear in any octave. So it doesn't matter what octave it is. If it's an F, it's that tone. If it's an F sharp or a G, it can be in any octave, and it's still going to be counted the same. So register the forms. So the tone series may appear in any of the following forms, and we're going to get this a little bit more when we look at the matrix. But keep these names in mind for now. So the symbol P means the prime, all right? So this is the series, or the order of the notes as it's originally constructed. This R means retrograde, and this means the prime series sounded in reverse. So it's just going to be prime, but it's going to be prime backwards, all right? The inversion, starting with the first tone of the prime series, the direction up or down of each successive interval is inverted. So that's just, that's the up-down of the matrix. You'll see it in a minute. So this is the down version. And then the retrograde inversion. So it's the inversion of the series sounded in reverse order. So here you've got your inversion. So it's going to be the opposite direction. Think about, so if you start on F, and then your next step in prime is G, natural. So that's a major second up. All you're going to do is in the inversion, you're going to go a major second down. So it's going to be a C. So you're going to go from D to C rather than D to E. Right? So you're just going to go the opposite direction. It's like a mirror image of prime. And then retrograde inversion is going to be both the inversion and it's sounded in reverse. So you take that inversion and then do it reverse. And you'll see how this works. So transposition So also, in transposition, any of the 4 forms of the series can be transposed. So the prime form untransposed is P0. 1/2 step up is going to be P1, so prime 1. Another 1/2 step up is going to be P2, prime 2, and so on. And you go all the way up to 11. So we start at 0 and we work up, we go 0 to 11 rather than 1 to 12 in serialism. So here you can see P8 is the prime form of the series transposed up 8 1/2 steps. The retrograde 8 is going to be the retrograde, so prime backwards and transposed up 8 1/2 steps. Same thing. Retrograde inversion 2 is the retrograde inversion transposed up by 2 1/2 steps. Inversion 11 is going to be transposed up by 11 1/2 steps, or you can think of this as being transposed down 1 1/2 step. It's just, you know, once you get to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you start over at 0 again. So if this were, if prime were F sharp, this would be F natural. So the row or series, the term row is a literal translation of the German word Reihe. Later authors believe row denotes certain properties, blah, blah, blah. So the original German term is series. So just know that row and series are the same thing in English. So you might see it written as row, you might see it written as series. It just means the exact same thing, and that is the particular row, so prime 0 or prime 1 or retrograde inversion. So all of these are considered rows and or series, all right? So the numbering, earlier writers, so this is good to know, earlier writers numbered the series from 1 to 12. So it used to be that they would go from 1 to 12, and then later theorists, for a reason that I have no idea, they chose a numbering system from 1 to 11. I guess it's to easier facilitate mathematical calculation, which actually makes sense because I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, pitch class, another vocab word. Pitch class is another term frequently found. This term is used in preference to tone or pitch because it is broader in meaning and includes a single pitch together with its octave duplications. So it just means that it can refer to, a pitch class means that it refers to F at any octave. So your lowest F in the bass clef and your highest F in treble clef, they're all the same pitch class. So rather than referring to a specific, you know, F above middle C or something like that. So just know that pitch class, you know, is all of the particular notes in a particular, you know, in any octave. So all of the C's, C is a pitch class, D is a pitch class. So it just refers to all of the notes, one particular note in any octave. That's what I mean. All right, so the matrix is, it's basically an analytical device for showing all forms of transpositions of a row, and it looks like this. So this is an empty matrix. We're going to be filling it in a few minutes with, this one's going to be numbers, the other is letters. But basically, this is what serialism is entirely based off of. Well, I'll show you in a minute. So, and just know this is a standard device for analysis of 12-tone music. So you've got to create your matrix, and I will hint for those of you watching this that there are, because we live in 2015, you can just Google matrix calculator, and you can put in your prime row, and it will just calculate the rest for you. FYI. But it's actually not that hard to calculate on your own longhand. I'll let you guys read about the history. It is cool. And this is definitely a style of music that comes out of the horrors of World War I. So Schoenberg, I've read, definitely felt that we couldn't go back. We, after the war to end all wars, cannot go back to the romanticism and beauty of the 19th century. The 20th century is a whole other ball of wax, and we can't go back. You know, sort of like wearing rose-colored glasses in a place where that doesn't exist anymore. They've had this horrible, horrible war that they thought would end all future war because of how bad it was. And even though, you know, Schoenberg, Webern, Berg, they were all in Germany at the time. They went through it. Other composers who were not German also adopted this style later on, and, you know, felt the same way. So this is essentially math and music combined. So let's see. Now, application. So we are going to be analyzing this piece. Don't let these numbers confuse you. This is considered the order of the notes. So literally, here's the first note, and they're labeling it 0 just to make things more confusing for you, and I'm sorry, but that's the way they're doing it. So here's the first note, the second note, the third note. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get this chord, and basically based on the row that it's established on in our matrix, they decide that if we order it 5, 6, 7, 8, that fits into our prime row. Okay? So keep that in mind. And we'll be coming back to this to look at it a little more. But let's get right into it and talk about a matrix. So I'm not going to be referring to these specific parts in the book because I'm going to actually fill one out in front of you guys so you get a better idea of how it works and how to put one together. But this is a full matrix. And there are two ways to write matrices. The first way we're going to write with literally the actual notes in the matrix. So here you can see, here's our original prime row. And then here's all of our transpositions, 1. And you can see they jump around. So here's 1 for F sharp to G up a half step. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so this is, now if we go here, this is going down the road. This is the inversion. If we go backwards, we go G, A sharp, B, C sharp, or sorry, G sharp, C sharp, A, and this way. Then if our row goes this way, so this is the first note, second note, third note, fourth note, this is the retrograde. And then here is the transposition of the retrograde, right? Here, this is the retrograde inversion. So this is the retrograde of the inversion. So here's the inversion, F, F sharp, A, G, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we go backwards this way, E, C sharp, C, D sharp, that's the retrograde of the inversion. All right, so we're going to take, I'm going to switch this out, and we're going to take this matrix and look at it. So this is how you fill this out, and I'm not going to use a pen. Don't use a pen. Whatever you do, you're setting yourself up for failure. All right? So our initial row is P0. So this is prime 0. So we're going to start with F sharp. It's the first note. F, D, E, D sharp, C, and this is established by the composer. C sharp, G sharp, B, A sharp, G. So we put in our row here. So it's going to go F sharp, F, D, E, D sharp, C, A, C sharp, G sharp, B, A sharp, G. Right? And if we were to play this,